What's up, my friend? My name's David and welcome to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing why your friends and family can't see what you see and why they think you're crazy. So stick around. If you're new to my channel and you like personal and spiritual development videos and a little bit of current updates with the news, hit the subscribe button and notification bell down below. And let's get started. So first of all, before I get into the main topics of this video, I just wanted to. It's been a bit quiet on the news front this week, and I wanted to share with you something I saw this morning as I woke up. So basically, where is it? This is a post, and it looks as though Santa Surfing did a video, and Trump's been acquitted. So good news. We'll have to see what happens next, but definitely moving in the right direction. That's about it. I mean, I didn't really see many, any crazy updates this week. I mean, last week we had Bezos step down and Aung San Suu Kyi was arrested, and a few other things. But I definitely think things are happening. Things are going on behind the scenes. It is a bit quiet sometimes, but I guess that means a lot of action's being taken. So take comfort in the fact that even though you may not be seeing things happen as fast as you like, that things are definitely happening. And I've been looking at a few different interviews over the past week, and it definitely seems as though that is the case. So let's get into the video. So why is it that your friends and family can't see what you see? Well, the reason is that inside our brains, we have what's called the reticular activating system. And basically what that does, its job is to filter out everything, all the information that you process on a daily basis. So I just read that at any one moment, I think it's every second, it's 11 million bits per second is what your body or the outside environment is sending to your brain. But out of all of that, your brain processes 50 to 60 bits per second, at the most 120. So what the reticular activating system does is it filters out everything that doesn't support your belief system. And that's why two people can look at a situation, but two people can see very different things. And that's essentially why people just can't see what you see. It's because their belief system doesn't support it. And if you think about it, at a point in time, your belief system didn't support it either, or you'd be able to see, you would have known what you knew, and some of you, and you might have, but for me, it didn't happen like that. This is something that I'd had to look at over a long period of time, and I think most people are in that same position where they had to look at something, and they might not have believed it straight away, because it is very unbelievable. A lot of what goes on in this world is completely unbelievable. It's so heinous and despicable that it seems absolutely nuts. So it does take a lot of time to come around to the idea that these things are happening and that there is a different agenda going on behind the scenes, and that all the governments, and not just the governments, but nearly every industry in the world is a part of this agenda in some way, or has been infiltrated in some way. So to make this a little bit more simple, I kind of liken it to a magic picture, if you've seen one of those before. This is a magic picture here, and I saw one of these when I was a kid for the first time, and I didn't know basically what it doesn't look like much, but basically, if you look at it in a certain way and you use your eyes in a certain way, you can then see a picture there. This one, I think, is a whole pile of pillars. That's what I saw, and it may take a long time for you to be able to see this picture, but after a while, you get quite good at it, and you can look at it and almost instantly see what's in the photo. And it's exactly the same with the world as we know it. For instance, one of the biggest things that I've become aware of recently is the pedophile symbols. I never noticed them before, and now I see them all over the place. So that's one example. But it's also take for instance the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, that was obviously very satanic. That's not something I would have noticed necessarily. I mean, I would have seen it, but I wouldn't have seen all the minute details that I now see. Here's an experiment, which I don't condone at all. I hate animal experiments, but here's an experiment where somebody put a kitten in a tube where they could only see horizontal lines. And they did it for the first month of birth. And then what they found was that after that month, the kitten couldn't, they put a vertical lines in front of it and they couldn't see it. And they did that. I think they did it over here. Well, this is just an artist image, but they did the same with vertical lines and the same thing happened. So, animals and humans' brains are they're very similar. I don't think that uh, animals they're much more instinctual. I don't think that they have a conscious mind like we do, but I would say that the brain in and of itself works in a similar fashion, and this experiment proves it to me. So, so why do people think you're crazy? Well, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the information is pretty nuts. And if you think about, there was a story that I saw where a boy was raised by wild dogs, and you may have heard this story before, and there's probably other stories about like children being raised by wolves or things like that. But when you're raised in an environment where, like, this guy, this kid, uh, obviously thought that walking around on all fours was quite normal. Here's the thing that 60 Minutes did on this guy, and you can see him walking around on all fours here. So you know he obviously thought that walking around on all fours is very normal. For anyone else, that would seem very very crazy. And the same can be applied to the information that you see, or even the life that you live, and the life that what most people think is quite normal. When when you're brought up in a certain way, and society teaches you to act in a certain way or think a certain way, and that's exactly how they do it. The whole, ever since inception, our our environment is conditioning us. It's conditioning our brains to think in a certain way, and it happens in the school system. It happens with TV and movies and in music and in religion, and in many ways. Your family and friends influence you. Society influences you. There are so many ways that our brains become conditioned to a way of thinking that if something occurs outside of those thoughts, which is exactly what the information that's been presented is, then you're going to think it's crazy. You're going to probably dismiss it at first as being a conspiracy. And the term conspiracy theorist actually was coined by the CIA to stop people looking into the JFK assassination. So it's interesting that the media uses that term quite often to discredit people. And it's not a mistake. It's definitely done on purpose. So that's the whole reason why people think you're nuts. And you can't really blame them. I mean, it is crazy, but I mean, you're not crazy, and that's what matters most. And I think that when when it comes down to it, the the masses will, they'll find out exactly what's going on. And even then, some of them won't believe it because it is very unbelievable. I mean, at that point, because there's only going to there'll be a small percentage of people that won't believe it, and I don't know what that percentage will be, but there will be a number of people that won't believe it, and those are the ones that I guess we're going to struggle the most, because it is going to be, and it doesn't go, it goes much further and much deeper than most people think. No matter how far down the rabbit hole you go, there's going to be things that we don't know, and there's going to be things that even someone who has gone down the rabbit hole quite far and deep hasn't been able to see yet. So, and I mentioned TV before. I mean, TV is one of the biggest mind programming tools in the world. One of the best ways to program a mind is through repetition, and that's why. And you can use that same concept to reprogram your mind in a better way. For abundance, for success. It takes time, but you can do it, because we are not usually programmed for abundance and success. You don't have to look too far to figure that out. I mean, most of the world struggles with money. That's not a mistake. They implant these thoughts, scarcity thoughts, into our minds, and that's the topic for another time. But with TV, when you're watching TV, you go into an alpha state almost instantly, which is a much more suggestive, much more relaxed, much more inattentive state. That's why when people are watching TV, quite often they're just sitting there mindlessly watching it. And if you ask them a question, they either don't hear you, or if they do hear you, sometimes they don't even know the answer to the question because they're not really watching it. They're kind of hypnotized. And I've seen this time and time again. You think of mind control and you think of what I would usually think of mind control is like somebody being sitting in a chair being hooked up to some sort of thing that goes over their head. But in all honesty, mind control is happening in every house that has a TV set every day every day of the week. It's not something that we do willingly. It's and I stopped watching TV a long time ago, even before I found out about this stuff. But now I don't watch it at all. So if you are watching TV, I would suggest turning it off because you're just filling your head with propaganda. You're filling your head with fear, anger. Quite often, the news is all about fear. The news is all about even the newspapers too, radio. Just anything that's mainstream, anything. And even in the truth community, the same thing can happen at times. I was watching a guy at the start of last year, and he was putting a lot of fear into my mind, and I didn't really want to watch him anymore. But he spoke a lot of truth at the same time. But he was on a timeline that I didn't really care for, so I stopped watching him. And my point is that even though people can't see what you see, the point that I think that's what's important is to have compassion, to be patient with them, because just foisting this information upon them, and I've experienced it in my own life, it doesn't really do much. Open-minded people will at least have a chat with you about it. They may not believe it, but they'll have a chat with you about it. But other people who aren't as open-minded will dismiss it straight away, say you're crazy, say say that everything is a conspiracy or whatever, and that's okay too. But we need to be patient with these people because it is going to, the truth is going to come out at some point. I don't know when. I feel like it's imminent. It could be in the next few weeks, it could be in the next few months. I definitely think it's going to happen this year, but I don't know exactly. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, hit the like and subscribe. Well, hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.